priority immobile AD carry for Doggo and be very comfortable on it in those late game team fights.
Yeah, and I feel like banning the Caitlyn after Chinese New Year is like, we've seen a lot of teams banning Caitlyn, right? But with Zeri in the mix, I feel like Caitlyn is a really good answer to the Zeri. So as soon as you ban the Caitlyn, the enemy's like, maybe we should ban the Zeri, or at least pick it, you know. But Corki going to be the first pick, not too surprising. Aphelios being hovered, especially for Doggo. This is exceptionally unsurprising. This is something Doggo has been more than comfortable playing. He's played it 5 times so far. This splits his most played AD carry, and it leans into that scaling we were talking about.
Yeah, and the question here is, do you want to lock in a jungler for yourself? High priority on that. Xin Zhao, you know, the highest priority jungler right now could be just picked up here. Or you could look for support if you're really keen on, say, having the Thresh. We've seen the Aphelios Thresh as a really frequent combo. And it looks like they'll go in that direction. Now, TT, Jinx stands out to me as that AD carry they'll probably end up taking here. But we could see them going another direction. Remember, we're on 12-2, so Senna is now being dropped into the pool. And a lot more people are picking her up, so... looks like they're going to lock it in. They're going to take that Senna Tahm combo.
Okay, so this is the reworked Tahm. Remember, this is not quite the same as the old Senna Tahm combo that we used to see, but it's pretty similar. Let's be realistic here. And also, the Senna kind of fulfills that same goal that Jinx would, right? Late game AD carry that can outrange the Aphelios. So excited to see what TT can do with this one. It's a creative draft to start us off. And BLG looking for a jungler to round this rotation.
Yeah, and I think, especially with Jarvan banned away, you need a jungler who's able to dive into the backline, who's able to engage pretty comfortably, especially as you have a Thresh. He's not a Rakan, he's not Leona, he's not going to be able to provide that for you. So, actually like the Hecarim pick here. It's going to provide threat to the backline, and that is critical. BLG will be outranged almost certainly in this game, so they need to have answers for those backline carries. Now, going to the next ban phase, BLG can look to target junglers. Xin Zhao, as we talked about before, some of those high priority ones. There is also the Lee Sin, the Viego available. Whereas for the side of TT, I think you can look for mid laners here. You know, we have the likes of the Victor, which is obviously a pretty frequent match in the Corki. You could also ban away things like the Gwen if you're concerned about Breathe having access to it.
I'm just praying that they ban the Victor, because I'm not sure I can handle Aphelios, Senna, Corki, and Victor all in one game. I'm not sure I can take that for my first game back after Chinese New Year. The Gwen you were talking about will be taken off the board since Zhao banned, obviously, by BLG. I could look for just a second jungle ban here, just to make sure that WeiWei's set up in a good position, or maybe take something away from the top lane themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely target something in the top lane if you're kind of concerned about that, but I feel like BLG... maybe the Jace is something I could see you might be a bit concerned about as a blind, but they are just going to go for the Lee Sin. Kind of thin in the pool. Viego is still there as one of those higher priority jungles. But for TT, question is, are you going to ban on the top laner? Are you going to ban the Jace, or just get rid of the Victor? Because ultimately, it is going to provide that early laning pressure, and a Hecarim can really flourish with that because he does farm very quickly. If you give him that momentum, he will run away with it.
I will say, I'm a little nervous for new in this draft. Because, yeah, there's the Jack's gone, another Breathe signature pick, but the Camille still exists. And let's be honest, Breathe, when he gets a counter pick, usually has his way with the lane. And New, not exactly the most lane dominant player we have in the LPL anyway. With Breathe having the option of a counter pick here, I'm a little nervous for TT's top side.
I actually end up going for the Orianna, which is bit of an interesting one. I mean, it serves a similar function to the Victor, but I actually feel like in this draft, again, you know, range discrepancy is going to be a problem as this one goes on. And if this Jace gets locked in, it would be even more so. I feel like BLG closing the gap is going to be really important. Landing things like the Shockwave from the Orianna, backing up the Hecarim, will be vital. For TT, though, not wanting to go for the Viego, they want something with more early pressure. They end up going for the Rek'Sai. So really powerful ganks, but not going to really scale too well into the later stages. And now they have to look at what they want to take in the top lane. Playing with the idea of the Camille, and they're actually going to lock it in. So with Jax off the table, feeling comfortable to take that one. The question is, what is Breeze going to take?
Fiora.
Fiora makes sense.
The Fiora, right? This is something we've seen Breeze play before. And it's a damn good matchup into the Camille. It would be exciting. If he locks the Teemo. I mean, it's also a great counter pick, but it would be hilarious. Okay. That's the Fiora locked in for Breathe. We've got a spicy top lane to watch out for. And, well, we said, you know, Chieftain coming back into the LPL. We said this is an opportunity for a fresh page. Well, Rek'Sai in the jungle is certainly a way to make an entrance.
Absolutely. And it's sort of indicating they want to have that early pressure that they've been really lacking since summer last year when they had Sharpong, who is obviously someone who's very proactive in the early stages, and now Chieftain is picking a champion that is only early pressure. Rek'Sai, you need to get the ball rolling, you need to get those early ganks, and we'll get to see if he can make that happen. In fairness, in this game, I feel like they are pretty comfortable going late in terms of composition, right? One of the concerns will be that Fiora on the side lane is going to outscale the Camille, but in terms of team fighting, the range discrepancy is so massive.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the big concerns. That's pretty much always a concern, right? When you lock in the Aphelios, is do you just get outraged? Do you just get kited out? But we've seen plenty of games in the late game where compositionally it feels like that should be the case, but the team with the Aphelios managed to find a way. A good Moonlight Vigil with Graviton, for example, is a great way to close the gap. And this Hecarim could be the key to all of that. But we'll have to wait and see, because side lane pressure exists as well. With a Fiora in the game, there is always the possibility that we get some split push shenanigans.
And I mean, the split push shenanigans will come in later, but I want to see this Aphelios Thresh apply the pressure early, because this isn't, as you said, this isn't the old Senna Tahm, right? You can't just gobble your AD carry out of every single death sentence, and as a result, you're actually a lot more vulnerable pre-6. If Thresh lands a death sentence on a Senna, she will just die, and as a result, you're going to have pressure bot lane, mid lane, the Orianna is going to out-pressure the Corki, and it means that BLG are going to be able to put some threat down. It's really just avoiding ganks.
Fiora favored, but it is still somewhat of a skill match.
Yeah, I think the critical thing, the reason why it's so difficult for Camille is you can't stun the Fiora, right? Because she has a W available. And so it means you can't really dash in on the Fiora at any point. And as it goes later, the problem is, as much as Camille scales well, she gets in range of you, she like autos you, stacks up that big true damage Q. Fiora's scaling is so insane, she basically almost beats anything in the side lane, due to the fact that when you get to like level 16, when you have full build, you will deal almost 100% of a champion's health as true damage by proccing your 4 vitals on your ult. It's obscene. You can't itemize against it. It's basically a matter of, are you ahead enough that you can beat it in the fight? And the thing is, her W, not only does it slow attack speed, but the fact you can block the stun from Camille, it makes it a very hard one to win. In the earlier stages, it's not as bad, right? Camille can definitely take some favorable trades, but again, the riposte does kind of neuter you a fair bit. You can't just dash in on her, because if you do get riposted, you get stunned out, she can actually just look for an all-in.
Yeah, and it's a painful situation if you're the Camille, because you're meant to be the one that does the crazy true damage. That's kind of your thing. That's the one thing you've got as Camille. So when they do even more true damage than you, well, you know, that's a tough situation to live through. So it can be difficult up in that top side. But I think, once again, it will be down to whether or not the junglers can get up towards that top side and influence that lane. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see once we jump into the game. It seems like there is a minor delay to get this one kicked off, and I'm feeling a little nervous because I feel like both Chieftain and UCal stepping onto the LPL stage. For Chieftain, he's been here before, he's finally returned, but for UCal, this will be his first ever LPL game, and you step onto the stage, you're with a brand new team, you're already an underdog coming in, and then you have to wait a little bit before the game gets started. You can just feel that he'll be tingling,
It's tense, build up the hype a bit though, and I'm excited because I feel like it's a breath of fresh air. Just the fact that we're already seeing this Rek'Sai pick in, I have expectations for this one, right? I'm hoping we see that early game proactivity. I'm hoping we see things happen. And interesting enough, we haven't actually seen much of the Hecarim. He does have decent ganks, but he is definitely a jungler that you can target, that you can look to punish and look to invade, right? If you catch a Hecarim out of position, they do tend to run Ghost. And as a result, he's not going to be able to jump over a wall with his flash. So definitely punishable. And I want to see Chieftain really push that angle.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can push that. Because again, it's going to be a tough opponent. That's ultimately the thing that we have to look at as we head into this game is, at the end of the day, BLG are a heavy favorite coming in when you look at the standings right now coming into this series. BLG currently in 5th place. They're 3-1. And the opponents that they faced as well, no slouches, right? They've beaten WeiWei already. They've beaten RA. They've beaten OMG. And then they lost to RNG, but that was a full 3-game series. And that was a damn good series as well.
Yeah, RNG looked really good there.
Yeah, RNG looked amazing. And on the other side, ThunderTalk, 16th place currently. And it's not necessarily just a strength of schedule issue. They have had some tougher opponents, but they've been losing to teams like IG as well. They just about beat anyone's legend, but it was a dicey one at best. So, you know, when it comes to the expectations, there is a heavy favorite in this one in the form of BLG. And I'm hoping that TT can at least show us some stuff, show us this new roster, give us a little bit of flair to kick off the post-Chinese New Year split.
I like to see that even level 1, they already have a bit of a plan coming in. They cleared up that ward early. I think BLG want to track this Rek'Sai, right? If they're aware of his position, if they're aware of where he is, it's a lot harder for him to find those successful ganks because that is the main strength. The fact you can tunnel over walls, turn up behind someone, land the knock-up. It's basically a summoner burn, pretty much guaranteed. So tracking that's going to be really important. And BLG, having lost that ward already, it gives a little bit more freedom to this Rek'Sai to move around.
And I will say as well, you know, Riposte, if you time it right, it can be an incredibly valuable skill, but it also makes you stand still for a bit. So if you've got a Rek'Sai that's burrowed and the Riposte comes out to try and block the Camille knockup, well, that can be an opportunity for Rek'Sai to get underneath, time it well, find a knockup, and maybe there's an opportunity in that top side. But certainly WeiWei pathing up towards that top side as well, right? Going for the full clear currently. So it's very likely both junglers meet up in that top side of the map. Chieftain feeling a little bit cheeky in the early game, looking for a potential opportunity in the mid lane onto FoFo. But FoFo can play up towards that top side where he knows WeiWei is. He'll be perfectly safe. Yeah,
puts down the ward, knows his jungler's near. He also had a rough idea where Rek'Sai would be, right? They know bot lane leashed, and they know he was on that side of the map from where they cleared the ward. But I think Chieftain makes the right call. He doesn't stay and wait. He just moves on. It's like, right, I need to finish my clear. There wasn't a window. Let's finish things off. There's still going to be more opportunities. Now, interesting enough, the top lane, we're seeing Camille with the Ignite, but Fiora doesn't have it. Now, Camille is a fair bit safer. You have the hookshot, which is a lot longer range than, say, just the Q from the Fiora to dash away. But it does mean when it comes to 1v1s or 2v2s in the early game, that Ignite does make a massive difference.
WeiWei's just going to be a second too late to contest the crab, but he is a level up because he's already finished all of his camps. And WeiWei's like, you know what, Chieftain? You're only level 3. Get out of this jungle. This is my jungle now. I've got Prio in the top side. I've got Prio mid, potentially. He's trying to fight for it at very least. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start the grump right in your face. Decides it's time to leave as New left the lane. And WeiWei will walk away at the end. I'm surprised at how long he committed to that one, despite no laners moving his way.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is he knew that, like, he had priority mid and top. It was only when the waves started to bounce back top and he's like, right, the Camille might come, that he figured he had to get out of that situation. Nothing really gained from it, but I think it's kind of showing that BLG do have the pressure in the lanes early, and it does mean that Chieftain, you know, he's going to struggle. He's not going to get reinforcements instantly.
Yeah, he won't, but I just want to clarify, there was something gained from that. There was the mental edge gained from that.
Yeah,
WeiWei walked into that jungle, he was like, Chieftain, welcome back to the LPL, mate. Your jungle is my jungle. That's what he was saying right there. And I'm
He's just saying hello. Well, yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, exactly. Just goes and gives him a handshake. I'm hoping we've got more of that. I'm hoping that's the side of things to come, but good start so far from WeiWei anyway. We'll be able to get bottom crab and just continue going for these full clears. And that's the thing about Hecarim as well, right? The speed at which he'll just power through that jungle is pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's the multitude of factors. The Hecarim outscales, the Hecarim clears faster. It really is on Chieftain to sort of make something happen. And as of now, you finished the full clear. Nothing has really showed up yet. But BLG is going to head straight towards that dragon. They have the priority bot. They have the priority mid. And even with this, you know, WeiWei's still in a really comfortable position. And it just means that BLG are kind of easily gearing up towards the later stages by picking this one secure in it early at only 5 minutes. Definitely a positive for them.
Now, oh, hang on. I thought Nu was going to get all in on then for a second, but Breathe won't find the window. Obviously, Breathe without an Ignite as well doesn't have necessarily the same level of all-in potential. Like this recall, though, sees that he sent Nu home. He's like, okay, Wave's in a good spot. I'm just going to match exactly what my opponent does. I want to quickly mention Chieftain. And, you know, we're talking about this Rek'Sai being a pick that he can make a splash on. Well, Rek'Sai is actually his most played jungler across his entire career. He's got 42 games on Rek'Sai. His next most played is Sejuani with 25. So this is a Rek'Sai aficionado. Unfortunately, his win rate is only 45%, so not necessarily the most successful Rek'Sai, but certainly an experienced one. Hopefully, something he can have an impact on. Nu is not having a fun time in this top lane. Minus CS deficit, but Chieftain on this Rek'Sai. This is his moment to prove himself, but WeiWei is hanging around. I think he knows what's up here. Breathe is not afraid of anything. Happy to step forward here.
Yeah, I mean, he's at the level 6, right? You cannot take this fight when there's that level advantage. And plus, the Fiora ult is so strong. If you manage to proc the full vitals or just kill the target in the 2v2, the healing just means it's almost impossible to lose that fight. So
yeah,
TT have to be really careful. And again, this is just more time where nothing is really coming from this Rek'Sai pick. WeiWei's farming up comfortably. He's a bit ahead in CS, even with the fact that he took that dragon. So he's in a really comfortable spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Looking at the draft, we've got Orianna alongside an Aphelios. We've got Corki alongside a Senna. It's not that surprising that we're having a relatively slow early game, especially considering that both of these teams had relatively slow early games before Chinese New Year. And I was hoping that, you know, Chieftain and UCal coming in maybe would change things up, but realistically, it's not feeling like a drastically different TT so far, but they will be happy with just the scaling game as well. Let's be honest, like, because you can talk compositionally, like, who we think has the big advantage in the late stages of the game, but quite often it's down to execution. Quite often it's down to who can find a specific opportunity. And while Chieftain is fishing for opportunities in this early game, I don't think we're going to see many for the time being.
Yeah, and that's the thing is sometimes you pick these early junglers, not so much just for the fact that you want to make things happen, but also it means you have a defensive tool, right? WeiWei isn't as comfortable going for ganks in the bot lane because if Chieftain is there, he knows the Rek'Sai can just tunnel over the wall and be that threat. And frankly, you have a Corki free farming, you have a Senna who's not farming, but picking up souls freely. I feel like TT aren't too upset about that one. Level 6 has now been hit by both the junglers, though, and Hecarim gets a massive power spike on that. The ability to obviously extend your engage range, land that fear, potentially punishing any overextended targets. But in the meantime, Chieftain, he's still just fishing around for any opportunity he can find. I think he might have been spotted in that ward in the tri-brush, but I think right now he's just covering Nu to crush this wave in. Don't think they'll really get anything more from this.
Breathe respecting it regardless, and Chieftain, he's sweeping away, but he won't find the ward that spotted him. There's some on-the-way pings towards the Rift Herald. It is now up on the map. Breathe pushed underneath the tower. Perhaps an opportunity for TT to try and go for a Herald themselves. That said, neither bot lane moving for the time being.
And the problem is, this is one of the issues actually with the Senna Tahm, right? Tahm is the one farming, so you kind of have to send the Senna up, but Senna obviously wants to stay around and pick up souls. They're kind of tied together in the lane, which means you do lose out a fair bit by moving one of them up. Whereas for BLG, they could just easily move Crisp up by himself. However, TT have picked up the package for UCal, and I think as a result, BLG just aren't really going to look to contest this one.
Nicely done by TT. Good control of the early game so far, and, you know, ultimately, BLG, while we keep on saying how they're the favorite, TT are happy with just a slow early game where they can be even later on. Their own big wins have been in late game team fights. So if they can just play it slow and steady like this, they've got themselves a Herald. They could even find themselves an early gold lead if they can get some plates with that Herald without too bad of a trade. It's feeling pretty good right now for the side of TT. That's a very positive sign. And you do wonder whether or not shot calling will be changing coming into the sort of post-Chinese New Year split. I don't know, it feels like we're in a new split. We're not, it's still just the spring split, but that 2-week break changes so much. It always feels very different before and after Chinese New Year, so I'm wondering how different shot calling and the way that TT plays the game is going to change, and I'm looking towards this mid-game for answers on that.
especially when we've had, you know, obviously we've only changed one patch over that time, but we've had quite like another big patch coming with 12.3. I feel as well like there was a lot of things on 12.2 that changed. I think it's very easy to see a lot of things pop up from different teams globally and think, oh, maybe we can try like Enchanted Janna top, and that could be showing up in scrims, change the dynamic. For now, GT looking to potentially contest this one, but it's going pretty fast. It might have to be a steal.
Chieftain wants to go for it. No, just spray Seeker in. Won't find it for the time being. It's going to be 2 Drakes going the way of BLG, and the Soul will be Cloud. So, not the most impactful Soul. Thank God it can't be Chemtech anymore.
So that is very blessed.
Yeah, I'll take Cloud over Chemtech any day of the week. Not if it's on my team though. Actually, if I'm the one winning the Drakes, I'll take Chemtech every time. But here we go. That Herald we talked about before, going to be slammed down on the bottom side of the map. We talked about this. Senna being that scaling AD carry, getting a bunch of gold into the Senna's pocket is always going to be beneficial, because one of the things people never really talk about with Senna is the fact that you're fasting, you're often gold starved. So if you can get plates towards Senna, it doesn't affect whether or not she's getting those souls, and it still gives her that influx of income.
Yeah, now Puck might actually get caught out here.
Oh, it's a big hook as Chris trying to save him. SouthWind gobbles him up, sprints away to safety.
He's so fast.
The Calibrum auto is not going to be followed up on, but there's a Hecarim over the wall anyway. The fear comes in. I feel like BLG they wanted to follow that up. They wanted to do something. They each made an attempt, but they didn't quite have what it took to.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, right? 3 members there, you're in a tower. Ultimately, it was a nice play by BLG to burn those summoners. They definitely have a big advantage in terms of summoners in the bot lane, but WeiWei just getting a little bit over ambitious, maybe a bit tired of just farming through the jungle for the past 12 minutes. Yeah. But they have those 2 dragons in pocket, right? And as much as the Cloud Soul isn't the most impactful, definitely beneficial for champions like the Hecarim, right? The extra movement speed when you are trying to close a gap on the likes of a Corki, a Senna, and the fact that you do essentially get extra damage on the back of that movement speed on the Hecarim.
Oh, here we go. Knock up onto FoFo in the...
Whoa! What was that beast, man?
FoFo just vanished.
He just, like, I didn't know Rek'Sai. I thought he was going to ult. He just popped him.
Man, is this what you speechless?
Is this what you get from your most played champion being Rek'Sai? You just do more damage? Because I don't know, man. I didn't expect that much.
Yeah, I don't know. Here we go. All in on the top side as well. New with a great ulti to dodge some of that damage, staying underneath the tower. Breathe has to flash away. The shield comes in, and New survives, clearing away the minions. Now WeiWei has to tank the tower, but he's slowed. One more tower shot with an auto from New. WeiWei will survive, but New, that was beautiful.
Navigated it so well, dodged away from the charge from WeiWei and managed to buy enough time. The ult from the Senna comes in, and on the other side of the map they'll just be able to easily pick up this tower. First tower over the TT and got the full 5 played, so a pretty massive benefit. BLG down almost 2,000 gold on this one.
Really, really nicely done here by TT. And again, I want to reiterate, this is BLG trying to make these plays, and twice in a row now, the play towards Puff in the bottom side, now a dive on towards New. BLG are failing to execute on these plays. New outplaying. Puff, with the help of SouthWind, managing to survive the play in the bottom side. This is feeling really good for TT.
This is feeling positive, right? And I feel like mid lane, nothing really is coming to fruition from FoFo's advantage in the matchup, right? We've seen Orianna's really punish Corki's before. Right now, he's 10 CS down, but he got that assist thanks to Chieftain. Pretty comfortable. We saw Breathe building up a CS gap top, and he's still ahead, but it's not super significant. The fact that we have that big influx of gold for Puff, Puff has been farming up pretty well, taking up souls pretty comfortably, means that I'm feeling honestly confident for TT as this one goes on.
Yeah, I mean, they're almost 2,000 gold up right now, thanks to that Rift Herald with the kill going the way of Chieftain as well. It says a lot that, you know, Chieftain is known for his Rek'Sai, but when I see a Rek'Sai, my brain instantly says Xiaopeng. But Chieftain, I mean, I was chatting to Lyric on Discord about this. Apparently, Chieftain is basically the Xiaopeng before Xiaopeng when it comes to Rek'Sai. This guy made his name on Rek'Sai, so I'm excited to see more of what we just witnessed happen to FoFo, because that was... I mean, he didn't even get to flash. His half of his health just vanished, thanks to the serrated Dirk. He didn't even have that Prowler's Claw at the time. But Drake coming up for 30 seconds. It is a gold advantage for TT right now. The question is whether or not they're going to be willing to try and brute force anything with that advantage. Doggo being low on health in the mid lane, though, certainly could help them out. The rockets! Oh, it's a close one for Doggo. He'll limp away with his tail between his legs. Valiant effort from Puff there, just a shot in the dark. That's forced the heal. And it will, hopefully for TT, mean that this should be a guaranteed Drake.
Yeah, and that's important, right? Those first 2 dragons for BLG could have been scary if they were able to stack them up and get the soul. But TT have the gold advantage. They have that package they're utilizing. They're able to pick this one up, and that'll slow down the threat of a soul from BLG, allow TT to continue trying to accrue advantages. But here's the trade-off, right? You've devoted so many resources to that bot side of the map. Breeze is able to pick up that tower top. They're also going to look towards the Herald. So as much as you stop the soul threat, you are going to lose a bit of that gold lead that you built up before.
Yeah, so BLG will have at least a window to close that gold gap, as you're saying. But regardless, TT stopping the soul point, right? And that's crucial for them because, again, we keep on talking about how they want this game to go as long as they possibly can because, you know, when it comes to that conversation of scaling, there is the bonus point on the side of TT where if we get to 6 items on everyone, Senna doesn't stop scaling. She'll just keep on going beyond everyone else. So if we do happen to have a 120-minute game, well, TT, they're a shoo-in at that point.
Yeah, that's not the best win con I've heard, but it's available, right? And the thing is as well is even though Corki technically does stop scaling, that champion is just ridiculous. I think it's been done again and again. We've talked about this endlessly, how much we hate Corki, but man, is that champion just a bit too bonkers at the moment.
Yeah, he's relatively decent. Relatively.
It's all right.
Yeah, this is this is patch 12.2 as well. So remember at home, guys, this is not the patch that you're playing on in solo queue right now. That's 12.3. So a couple of the changes not coming in just yet. Is that Herald now going to be slammed down in this bottom side? That'll finish the tower off. That'll be the second tower of the game for BLG. Meantime, TT perhaps looking to make a play in the mid lane, but Doggo will walk away. And in the meantime, it's UCal up on the top side of the map, trying to trade for what this Herald is doing on the bottom side. Should be able to finish off the tier 1.
Yeah, and I do like the BLG are playing through Breathe, right? They're kind of leaning towards him, allowing him to pick up these towers, allowing him to pick up this extra farm. And it is going to be valuable because that is a win con to lean into that Fiora split push later on. But TT doing a pretty good job of answering now. They're actually looking for the dive.
Oh, they're going straight under the tower onto Nude. This time, he cannot dodge the damage. He's just one shot. And immediately, watch how fast that tower goes down. Breathe. He doesn't even have that many items. It's not like he's scaled into this one yet. He's just playing Fiora. He just melts towers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these plays are positive for BLG, right? They've now managed to accrue a gold lead, and a lot of that will be on that Fiora. It is going to be a massive threat. And TT, they've kind of been A-ramming it, being real. They've kind of just been focused on getting this mid lane tier 1, and it's bought so much time. Yes, they're probably going to end up getting it here, but think how many times we've seen them push the wave up, 4 members grouping, push the wave up, 4 members grouping again and again and again. And the fact it's taken so long to pay off means that they really have just ended up losing out on that gold lead. It's 200 between the teams, where not too long ago it was 2,000.
Yeah, and then you got to bring that conversation of standing gold as well, with the tier 1 still remaining, BLG in the mid lane. And you know, there's not much to say here, is there?
Not much you can do.
So much you can do is new in that situation. The fact he's only died once so far this game, with the amount of pressure that's been on him, I think that's an accolade in of itself, to be honest.
And tried his best, but again, limited amounts there. I think it's just a good read from BLG. They know that TT were trying to trade on the top side of the map, so they end up leaning more resources. And now they're actually having UCal answer the Fiora, which, you know, I think that's fine. You have the wave player just delete the waves before they even get to the tower. This next dragon in a minute 30. See if the team's up to set up for that one. Again, UCal has his package synced with the dragons, so can just look to frequently use those to have a big advantage in those fights.
Yeah, it's going to be just over a minute until that.
This guy's got to be careful, actually.
Doesn't have package currently. Has the Valkyrie, obviously. Does have a splash as well. But looks like Breathe WeiWei not really going to try and force the issue on that one. You can't play safely enough. He'll be okay. Doggo slowed, but Lantern keeps him safe from Crisp. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of very similar situations to that. As he's got Gale Force as well. He's still got both of his summoners available. So Doggo relatively safe for the time being. But 40 seconds until that Drake comes up, and WeiWei is just sticking around in this top side.
He might try for a dive here over the wall against the Corki. A ward I mean, he's seen on the ward,
no
so
minions.
yeah, no minions as well. That's the power of the Corki, right? That's where the Corki has the advantage of the Camille. If you get onto the Corki, he is going to go down easier, but the fact you can just delete the wave means it's very hard to set up. All this time has been devoted, and now Dragon has spawned. I think BLG just have to give this one up, to be honest. You're not going to be able to fight against the package. I think the range advantage already coming in and causing issues. You can see Yukal trying to set up some poke, but the trade-off is Breathe is still not side lane. He is still hammering down that tower.
And that is the second tier 2 taken now by BLG. They're more than happy to trade a Cloud Drake for that easily any day of the week. And so now Breathe in those side lanes has so much space to work with later on, right? The tier 2's already gone. The second that you commit to a Baron for the side of TT, Breathe's going to be pushing on towards that inhibitor at the bottom side. And
it's so much gold as well, right? We have the extra, like, huge amount of local gold given by those tier 2 towers that he's been able to pick up on both parts. So he is pulling really far ahead in this matchup. And we already talked about how the scaling favors the Fiora. Fiora in the late game just absolutely annihilates anything. It's going to hit a lot sooner as a result of all that extra gold he's been able to pick up.
Yep, got that Divine Sunderer. Now just finished off a Ravenous Hydra as well. So huge goal on the top side. I mean, he's 20 CS up individually. He's already got that assist. And that's not including the tower plays. It's not including the fact that he's killed 2 tier 2 towers as well. So he's definitely feeling pretty good up in that top lane. It's not the first time we've said that about Breathe. This is a prolific top laner here in the LPL. And I'm excited to see him on this BLG squad as well, because I think he's one of the players that people had a few question marks about when it came to this BLG roster being announced, right? You know, everyone was excited about FoFo stepping in the mid lane, about Doggo being on this roster alongside Uzi, about Crisp moving over away from FPX. But with Breathe, I feel like he's one of these players that a lot of people love him, a lot of people not big fans and feel like he's a flawed player. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how he's been doing so far, because he has been having a great split.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a prime opportunity of one where having someone who's comfortable in the side lane really is a benefit to BLG, and he might well be the big carry who ends up delivering for them. Because right now, you know, TT are kind of in this position where they really want to set up the fight, right? They want to get the long-range poke down, but the problem is they don't really have the greatest engage. And actually, they've just given up some space around the Baron, and BLG just going to start it up. This is a wild play, but if TT don't answer quickly, this might win.
They've not even noticed. They've not even noticed yet. Baron down to half HP as TT have just got a sniff of what might be going on here. But it's on 3,000 already. Is BLG just going to burn through this one? Can they get the smite in time? The Baron goes down. And now BLG have to try and get over the wall. Flashes galore. They're out. It's daylight robbery.
I can't believe that's just weird. I cannot believe that TT just dropped the ball so hard, right? They just backed away, gave complete control of the Baron area, and then they just slowly meandered over. Yeah, BLG just take a free Baron like that. And this is really going to be problematic, right? We already talked about how much of a pain in the butt that Fiora was. He now has a Baron buff to make things even more difficult.
The funny thing is, we were talking about how annoying the Fiora is because of what she does around them when the Baron exists, right? With Baron pressure. I didn't even need the Fiora. Fiora wasn't even a part of the play. That was just TT just dropped the ball entirely. Breathe didn't have to do anything to get the pressure for this one.
And now, you know, that mid tower is looking pretty delicate. It's still hard to step up to, but Doggo has Bloodthirster, and as a result, it's so easy for him just to sustain through the poke, right? As long as he can hit a wave, it's hard for them to make any of that stick.
Yeah.
And right now, TT, you can see them very much on the defensive. And Breathe, he is pushing in that top wave, moving into that blue side jungle. Definitely a scary threat.
This is an even worse part of this equation as well. You know, we've been talking about this trade for the Baron. Well, New actually had to TP towards the top side to try and contest the Baron. They didn't even get to contest, but New still used that teleport. Breathe has his available. So BLG can just pressure all day long with this Baron, but for worst case scenario, Breathe can TP towards the rest of his team. He's going to get all in on the top side. Can he go for a 1v3? It doesn't look like it, as he is just shredded. And in the meantime, BLG have to make this worthwhile. They'll grab themselves a tier 2 in the mid lane. It's going to be a kill for a tier 2. I'm not really sure if it's worth it or not, to be quite honest. BLG at least will have to back up.
I think it's the right play, right? Because as much as you end up losing out in terms of the gold and the fact that you're losing those two structures permanently, you were probably going to lose. Well, the tier 1 was going down for sure, and the tier 2, it's hard to defend it when Fiora's pressuring you in the side lane. So I think it's the right read from TT. They kill Breathe. Baron buff gone from Breathe. Baron's probably going to time him out before BLG get another setup again. And yes, you lost a fair bit of structures. You're down 3,000 gold, but I still think the trade-off is fine. And now, Dragon in 30 seconds, package in hand for UCal. They are here first and getting set up. Able to secure this one, puts them 1 away from that soul.
And once... Oh, hang on. WeiWei's found UCal. That's half of his health gone. So,
it's a tank Hecarim. He has no damage items. How is that okay?
Well, you know what? It was Corki that was on the receiving end, so I'm okay with it. I think Corki deserves it. Here we go. Dragon going to be started off as WeiWei charges towards the enemy. TT on the scene. New looking for a flank angle, as is Breathe on the opposite side of the fight. The Dragon, just in the midst of all of this, he has no idea what's going on. He's just the Dragon. He can't comprehend this. He's not even sure why they're not properly fighting. They're just toying with the idea of fighting. UCal rejoins his team. Package available here as WeiWei goes in. It's the smite for Chieftain as he returns to the LPL, and WeiWei takes the Thresh Express away again. And the Dragon, he dies confused as no fight ever happens.
But it's the right call from TT, right? They managed to get the smite. 3 dragons in pocket, but they don't go for the fight afterwards. Like, we got what we wanted. Fighting here would be a bit of a flip. They end up backing away. Package will time out. And BLG, they're going to steal away a ton of camps here to try and make up for this, but it still means that TT are now 1 away from that soul. The Cloud Soul is nice. We did talk about earlier, it's not exactly the most game-changing one here. It's not exactly going to drastically change the dynamic of how team fights play out, but does obviously give that movement speed. And I think the big thing, people always think about the movement speed when you ult. It's like, how good is that for that champion? I think just the flat movement speed can make a pretty big difference. And honestly, the big one for me is Tahm Kench. Where you saw Tahm Kench eat Puff earlier and how fast he's able to run away. He's going to be going max speed if they get that Cloud Soul.
Yeah, he's just going to be sprinting away. And honestly, I'm excited to see it. Love that waddle. Love that waddle. But we'll have to wait and see if they can get themselves that 4th Cloud Drake first, because I mean, I've just noticed, I don't know how I've not noticed this. We've had 3 kills. It's almost 30 minutes into the game. This is the LPL
with
a kill every 10 minutes so far in this one.
I mean, we did say it would be a slow one, right? Both these teams happy to sit back, relax, put in a cruise control, and just lean in the later stages. I do feel like still TT can be comfortable in terms of team fighting in the later stages, but it still comes down to execution, right? How does the Hecarim change that dynamic? Is he able to get on the backline and threaten it? Do we see big shockwaves? And also the Fiora problem that currently they've done an okay job of answering, but it just gets more and more scary as the game goes on.
I feel like that could be the title of Breathe's autobiography, the Fiora problem.
Yeah, it's fitting.
Good book title. Good book title. I like it. Yeah, we'll have to see. But Brave being very, very cautious so far, right? Not trying to overstep, not going too far on the split pushes. Obviously got caught during the Baron push, but that was more TT pulling the trigger on one side rather than the other. But BLG, I don't know whether or not to criticize this, right? Because I know that I'm a monkey brain play-by-play from the LPL. I just want to see fighting all the time. And I never know whether I'm just criticizing passive play just because. But I feel like BLG could be being more proactive here and trying to force TT's hand.
Potentially, they do have the better tools to look for it, right? But I think they're just concerned about the Tahm Kench being able to disrupt so much in terms of beating up a target. Corki's not exactly the easiest one to jump on. And the thing is, we get to these objective points, and it's like, WeiWei try to go in, didn't find the angle, the dragon gets taken. It's like, kind of, that's okay, we back off. So I think the problem is, as well as this Fiora. If this Fiora was a different champion, you have a lot more presence in the team fights. You can come in on flanks, but the Fiora isn't exactly the biggest fan of joining. Oh.
Well, I said I wanted them to go in. They've gone in. SouthWind the target, but the shield keeps them alive for now. Now will just be a TP channeled and a disengage. You know, it was almost exciting. That's about as exciting as it gets, or is it? Because Doggo's making the plays. In they go, flash forward from Doggo, but TT still surviving. Finally, UCal goes down, and a shockwave to pull him back into the fray. FoFo with one onto New, and it's finally a window for BLG.
And that's a critical error coming out from TT. Big play from Doggo once again to set things up, but UCal, I think he valked in the wrong direction there. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but a big mistake leads to BLG managing to find a couple of kills. They're now going to head up towards that Baron, I believe, but they might actually find Chieftain. Doggo's going to be able to root him. He's gone.
Oh, look at Doggo go. And I said this at the start, that Doggo starting to make these plays by himself, right? Starting to become one of those AD carries that makes a big difference individually, not just in terms of scaling, but in terms of the plays he's willing to make. I feel like Doggo is really... He's coming of age in this league, right? He's having a year of just going from a great AD carry to an incredible.
Absolutely, and he has been such a massive factor in the success of BLG so far. And I think as a result, people were talking about where is Uzi, when is Uzi playing. BLG are feeling really comfortable with Doggo on the roster. And this Senna, right, been picking up a lot of souls, but doesn't really match up to the Aphelios right now when it gets to close and personal. So I want to watch UCal here and see exactly what happens, because this first play comes out, there's a disengage. This eat seems very unnecessary from the Tahm Kench. Not really sure what the play was there. But then this re-engage comes in, and I think UCal, yeah, valves forward and flashes out. I did see that one right the first time. Yeah, so a little bit of an oopsie daisy. Package now in hand. This would be Soul. Let's see if we can avoid doing that again.
Yeah, I missed that during the actual fight. That's unfortunate for UCal. Unfortunate to say the very least. Drake started up once again. Is BLG on the scene. They need to stop this one going the way of TT. They can't really afford to lose the soul. And immediately WeiWei just starts the fight, takes a chunk of damage. They go back at the Drake and they take it. That was so beautifully coordinated by BLG. They knew they weren't going for the fight. Chieftain. Oh, he's saved by SouthWind. Last possible second. Kicked out once again. The shield is keeping him alive. And Chieftain walks away, at least for the time being. It is a sacrifice for SouthWind, though, as the rest of BLG trying to chase down the Rek'Sai. It's a double for Breathe, and it's 5-2 on the scoreboard as BLG start to look for the base.
So much damage done there, but it's just not quite enough to take down FoFo. WeiWei. The chase comes in. The Tahm Kench can only save one target, and he can't save himself. And BLG able to pick up that dragon and now pushing into the base. This Fiora is so scary right now.
Yeah, this is starting to get real difficult because Doggo pushing in the mid lane as well at the same time. So 3 players from TT have to move to the bottom side just to defend against this massive Baron wave. But again, Doggo over on the other side can just shred through these towers, especially with the Calibrum and Crescendum. It's the perfect combo for sieging onto these towers. With the Baron minions, he's confident that his turret will finish.
And it's so hard to deal with them, right? Because the poke is just not really sticking thanks to Bloodthirster. The only real dive you have is the Rek'Sai and the Camille, which isn't that threatening, especially when he has a Thresh. This goal discrepancy right now in favor of BLG is making things very difficult for TT. We're going to see a replay of that fight. So the problem is a lot of tools are banned from TT, and the poke isn't really sticking that well, right? Package comes in, disrupts. They end up securing the dragon, but then Chieftain, he does get saved here by the Tahm Kench eat. But now TT are kind of out of these major tools to keep them safe, and WeiWei is still going, still running down. Fiora as well in position here to keep moving forwards, and it's just TT kind of don't have any other options, right? They don't have towers up to retreat to. They don't have another Tahm Kench. It's kind of just like run backwards, and whoever gets caught gets caught.
Yeah, it's that classic conversation of, you know, I don't have to outrun the lion. I just have to outrun you. Whoever's the slowest gets gobbled alive. Oh, poor TT. And, you know, it's looked so good for TT this game. They lasted so long, but it feels inevitable at this point. It feels like slowly but surely, BLG had eked advantage after advantage. They found the opportunities on the Barons. And now it's just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They've got that one in here in the mid lane. They've got the Fiora to push in the bottom side. The rest of the team can move top if they wish, or maybe just play around the mid lane instead.
Oh my lord.
As we're going to see WeiWei just charge a puff. See you later, buddy. And that's surely going to be game.
Yeah, didn't have the Tahm Kench there this time. Able to run down the Senna. Doesn't matter how many souls you have in that situation. And BLG just looking to close this one out pretty convincingly. TT still have 4 members to defend, but the gold advantage is so big right now.
Yeah, I feel like we needed more Thunder Chad gameplay here. We did not get to see it. We got it from Chieftain with the gank in the mid lane. We got it from Noob, managing to survive that dive early on. But unfortunately, not able to see quite as much from this team as we would like. Puff having a bit of a struggle this game. 0-2-0. We've not really seen much out of this Senna pick. I feel like, you know, it's the kind of pick that you lock in. You want to scale. You want to have a big impact in the late game. Well, just getting caught out alone in the mid lane, that ain't the impact we're looking for.
Problem is, you're so far down in gold compared to Aphelios, and on top of that, you're 4 levels down, right? This is one of the big issues they can sometimes see with the Senna, because you're not like constantly tied to waves. You can end up falling behind in terms of experience, and right now, that is a major discrepancy, right? Aphelios scaling extremely well with levels, getting those extra stats. So even if Senna has a ton of souls, it's just not going to make up that difference right now. And the thing is, you have that range advantage. It doesn't matter when the Hecarim can just charge at you. This Hecarim is so fast, has the Force of Nature, has the Chem Tank, Ghost, Phase Rush, has the Speedy Pants. I forgot what they're called as well. Maximum speed on this horse.
the winged something, I can't remember. It's not a tier 3 item. Who cares?
Winged Speedy Pants. Yeah,
winged speedy pants. That's it. Yeah. Nailed it. Okay, here we go. Fear comes out. SouthWind will save his life this time. The Gravitum is there, though. And SouthWind once again sacrifices himself. Yucal goes in. I mean, look, I respect it. He went in this time. He definitely went in. Yeah, well, yeah, you're not wrong. That was definitely a Chad play. Didn't work out for Yucal this time around, but, you know, maybe next time. Hey, maybe next time. This is going to be towers going down. Chieftain goes in. There's a kill. FoFo, at very least, is Puff just forced onto the base. Doggo is the king of the AD carries in this game. Puff does not get a shoe-in as the turret comes down onto the fountain. That's going to be game. That's going to be BLG with a slow but sure win over TT.
Yeah, I mean, we said BLG confident in the late game team fighting, but they were able to accrue these big leads with some smart decisions, like the Baron. They managed to sneak away, and it just felt like TT fell behind and didn't really have an option, right? Range advantage is irrelevant when the Hecarim charges you down, and unfortunately, Chieftain and Yucal, not the best performances, right? We saw the Rek'Sai picked up, Chieftain's most played jungler in competitive. It got 1 gank, right? We saw the Corki come out for Yucal, had some interesting Valkyries. So
2 different fights. 2 different fights where you Valkyried into 5 people.
At least with the package, you can kind of, it's like there's impact from that, right? If you're trying to get the damage numbers up, justifiable. The other one was just a regular Valkyrie, and he instantly flashed out. That one was questionable.
That one was a whoopsie. That one was a whoopsie. I will say, at least for Chieftain, you know, there was only 1 significant gank in the game, but it was it was something. He completely one-shot FoFo. Yeah. Not something I was expecting. Definitely a rough one for TT. You know, not ideal losing out in this one. But again, I just want to reset expectations. Like, BLG are the heavy favorite coming into this game. The expectation is that BLG should get a 2-0 here. We're talking about the 5th place team versus the 16th place team. Like, set your expectations reasonably on that one. But still, TT managing to survive a very, very quiet early game, you know, managing to stay even for a lot of the game as well, ending up losing out on the macro trades and map positioning. Like, the fact that BLG were able to get that free Baron, I think, was the biggest crime that TT committed in this one.
Yeah, that one was pretty insane. Just the fact that they just completely gave control over the area. Everyone sort of reset together, and BLG, fair play to them, right? They called that. They found that window. They brought Breathe over for it as well. So I think, as much as it was definitely a mistake from TT, it was also a pretty heads-up play from BLG that I'm honestly not sure a lot of other teams in the league would have found that window. By the way, you know, there were issues, right? TT weren't able to capitalize. I am interested to see how it goes in the game too. I will say I would like to see maybe Chieftain and Yucal have a bit more synergistic mid-jungle duo, right? We see a lot of these strong ganking junglers combined with the mid laner with setup, or who can benefit from that. This was kind of just like, oh, I'll gank Corki because Corki's strong later. And then it got to late and it was like, well, you know, we just end up losing.
Yeah, didn't really work out. Didn't really work out for them. And, do you know, I'm kind of okay with that. I don't want teams with Corki and Senna to win games.
True.
I want this to be punished, and I want teams to just never play it again. So, For me, this is a big thumbs up on this result. 1-0 to BLG. We'll see if they can keep that ball rolling right after the break.